Oh, the divisional round begins and ends on CBS. Joe Burrow and the Bengals looking to knock off the top-seeded Titans on Saturday, while Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers looking to do the same against the number one seed in the NFC. First game on Sunday takes us to Tampa. Tom Brady and the reigning Super Bowl champions hosting Matthew Stafford and the Rams. Then a rematch of last season's AFC title game as Josh Allen and the Bills visit Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs on Sunday night on CBS. Now, over the last three postseasons, winning teams are 27-3 against the spread. Only 3 underdogs have covered without winning. And this is the first time since 1971 that all 4 favorites in the divisional round are favored by 6 points or less. Welcome in Vegas insider Todd Fuhrman and CBS Sports HQ NFL analyst Pete Prisco. Both went 4-2 with their picks in the wild card round, including the 49ers upset, what Pete called for that. Bengals avoided upset against the Raiders, now looking to pull off an upset against the top seed in the AFC. Titans looking to have Derrick Henry back, who missed the final 9 games of the season, suffered the broken foot. Meantime, the Bengals defensive line is banged up, but they are going to have Trey Hendrickson back on that line. Tennessee, a 3.5-point favorite, totals 47.5. Pete, Derrick Henry is an absolute monster. We know that. But are we to believe he'll run all over the Bengals in his first game back since injury?
Well, I don't know if you can expect that, but you could expect them to run the football. I mean, they've run the ball well with him not being in the lineup. D'Onta Foreman's done a nice job running the football, and I think they can run on this defense. Remember, Larry Ogunjobi is out in the middle of that defense. That's going to be a problem. I do think the Titans are going to be able to control the clock and run the football. And this is the first time, no matter how many snaps Henry plays, that this group has been together and healthy. I mean, you look at, Julio Jones was banged up all year and out with COVID, and A.J. Brown, and now the entire complement is there. So I think offensively they're going to have success. The key for the Bengals will be whether they can protect the quarterback. Last week they did a solid job, but they have problems at right tackle. They have so-so play at center and right guard, and that could be a problem against the defense that had 3 guys with 8 or more sacks and can get after the quarterback. So my lean is to the Tennessee Titans. As great a story as it would be to say that Joe Burrow could get to the championship game in his second year, and I picked him to get to 1 Super Bowl. Some people put the words 2 in my mouth in 10 years when he was drafted on draft night. I just think this is a Titans team that's rested and ready to go. I'm going to take the Titans minus the points.
And I'm right there with you, Pete. I know it's not the best of the number as the prices balloon past the key number of 3 out to 3.5. But the point you made about this Titans offense not being complete shouldn't be lost on anyone who's trying to handicap these teams based on their current form compared to their seasoned body of work. I mean, Julio Jones, A.J. Brown, and Derrick Henry have been on the field together for less than 15% of the total offensive snaps for this Titans team so far this year. And you look at Ryan Tannehill's numbers. Play action is a key component of what this team wants to do offensively, where he's better than 10 yards per attempt with Derrick Henry and merely average without Henry in the mix. But Pete talked about the defense, and I think that's the side of the ball that gets undersold for Tennessee. When you look at the trio of guys that can get after the quarterback, that's just part of it. This secondary is significantly better when they have a healthy Elijah Molden, when Christian Fulton is out there as a true number 1. And when you look at the Bengals' concerns along the offensive line, those don't just rear their head in pass protection. They've also shown up in a run game that's really bottomed out. When you look at Joe Mixon, he was one of the best storylines, especially from a fantasy perspective during the regular season. But over the last 6 games, he's failed to average more than 4 yards per carry. And if the Titans force the Bengals to be one-dimensional, they'll pin their ears back, and Joe Burrow will get well acquainted with that defensive front along with the turf at Nissan Stadium.
Mike Vrabel with 8 or more days between games, a perfect 8-0 straight up and against the spread. So maybe that's a trend that will be our friend come Saturday on CBS. The number 1 seed in the NFC hosting the 49ers on Saturday night. Aaron Rodgers and the Packers were a perfect 8-0 at home this season, 7-1 ATS. Green Bay's a 5.5-point favorite coming down from 6.5, 6 earlier this week. The total's 47. Todd, are you back on the 49ers this week, or are you back in the home team?
Yeah, I don't love the situational spot by any stretch of the imagination. 3rd straight road game for the 49ers. They made last week against the Dallas Cowboys much more difficult on themselves than it needed to be when they had a commanding lead late in that contest. But this is all about the number for me, Hakeem, and this price is way too big when you look at a number that I actually made in that 3.5 range with the potential to grab 5.5, 6. The 49ers' blueprint to beating the Packers should be the same as what we've seen other teams fail to execute. But Cleveland got awful close on a Saturday game a few weeks ago. even despite Baker Mayfield throwing 4 interceptions, they were able to establish the ground game. Their defense got off the field, and they kept that game within arm's reach. I know Jimmy Garoppolo is dealing with a sprained shoulder and a bum thumb. I know he's never started a game in the kind of elements he's going to encounter in Lambeau Field, and we all know what Aaron Rodgers has done at home in frigid temperatures and what Matt LaFleur and company can do. But my concern for Green Bay is if they get off the mark slowly and San Francisco comes out with a good script, this isn't the kind of team that you necessarily want to play from behind against. I'm not sure the 49ers will ultimately have enough to win this game outright, but I do think they can stay within a field goal. I'll take the 49ers, despite the travel situation on a short week, catching those generous points.
This was a tough one for me, all the way around. I have nothing but the utmost respect for the 49ers. They're built to be physical on both sides of the ball. But you mentioned it, Todd. 3 straight road games and 3 straight games they had to have, or 2 they had to have, and they have to have this one, obviously. That's tough. From a physical standpoint, it's tough from a mental standpoint. And Green Bay's coming off a bye. That even compounds the fact that they're playing 3 straight road games. And here's the other thing. The Packers are getting guys back. You know, Bakhtiari is listed as questionable. I would imagine he's going to go. They're getting Billy Turner back at right tackle. They got their center back, the rookie from Ohio State. Myers got a really nice job in there. And then on the other side of the ball, they're going to get Jair Alexander back. They get Zadarius Smith back. I mean, this is a group that's getting healthy. And here's the key. You block them, you beat them. If you block the 49ers, you're going to beat them down the field. And last week, they weren't blocked. The Dallas Cowboys and their vaunted offensive line didn't block them. Well, this Packers line, which has been outstanding all year long despite all the injuries, they're going to block them. Rodgers is going to have success, and the Packers are going to cover the number. I'll take Green Bay to move on to the championship game minus the points.
All right, so Pete and Todd on opposite sides in that one. First game of the day on Sunday takes us to Tampa, where Tom Brady and the reigning Super Bowl champs playing Matthew Stafford and the Rams. Week 3, Stafford outdueled Brady, throwing 4 touchdowns, no picks, as the Rams beat the Bucs by 10. Pete, do you expect a similar outcome on Sunday?
I like the Rams in this game. I think the Rams are going to win the game outright. This is my outright upset. I think the Rams, when you saw them against Arizona, that was the Rams team we expected to see. I think they're talented on the defensive side of the ball, which I think will show up. You know, the Tampa Bay offensive line has been good. It was really good in the postseason last year. It's been good most of this year. They were bad last week across the board. And it wasn't just when Tristan Wirfs went out of the lineup and Josh Wells went in. It was across the board. Ryan Jensen struggled. Ali Marpet struggled. Alex Kappa, the right guard, struggled. So the middle of that line had issues, and that's not a good thing against Aaron Donald. I think that's going to be the difference in the game. If we go back in Tom Brady's history, inside pressure has really caused problems for him in his career. He starts seeing ghosts. He starts ducking. It takes him entirely out of his game. It's hard for me to go against Tom Brady in a big game, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to take the Rams to win this game outright, so give them to me on the money line, and I'll take the points.
And you know what, Pete? I'm not going to go against Tom Brady in this spot, but I'm also not going to back the Buccaneers either. What I'm going to do is isolate one side of the ball where I think the Rams offense can have some success. So I'm going to take the Rams team total over its number against the Tampa Bay defense that, to be quite honest, hasn't exactly resembled the same championship form we saw last year. When you look at their ability to stop the run, we know that's been the trademark of what Todd Bowles has wanted to institute there. But I don't think the Rams are going to be stubborn and bang their head into a brick wall. I really believe they're going to look to throw it early and throw often. The conundrum that it's going to create for Todd Bowles and company is, do they blitz Matthew Stafford? Because when you look at the numbers this season, Stafford has struggled when he's under pressure, but that's when teams can generate it with their front 4 dropping men into coverage. If the Bucs have to bring an extra man, Stafford has obliterated the blitz. His passer rating is north of 140, a touchdown to interception ratio of 17-1. And I don't think any of us can ignore how explosive Cam Akers looked, both as a runner and as a receiver. We'll forgive that drop down the sidelines because it didn't come back to haunt them. But I think that makes the Rams that much more dynamic to try and cover in space. I still don't believe a lot of the key contributors for Tampa on the defensive side, in Shaq Barrett and Levante David or JPP, are anywhere close to 100%. This is a Matthew Stafford legacy game of sorts. He got the monkey off his back on Monday night against Arizona with his first playoff win. And you have to know deep down, Sean McVay has been itching for the day to get the best of Tom Brady in a postseason game, given the way the Super Bowl got away from him 13-3 a few years ago against the Patriots.
Rams would like to be hosting the Super Bowl, much like the Buccaneers did last season. Of course, the Super Bowl at SoFi Stadium. Rams got to get through Tampa Bay first. Sunday night, we've got a rematch of last season's AFC title game. Josh Allen and the Bills visiting Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs on CBS. Also met in Week 5 this season. Bills won 38-20 in KC with Allen outdueling Mahomes. Back at Arrowhead on Sunday, where the Chiefs are a short 1.5-point favorite. Total's 54. Todd, you had a correlated parlay. You hammered the over. You had the Bills against the Patriots last week. What do you like in this weekend's game?
You know, I honestly wish I knew the Bills could go over that game total entirely on their own, given the most dynamic offensive performance we've ever seen in the playoffs with 7 touchdowns and 7 drives. The Bills didn't have to punt. They didn't have to kick a field goal, and their only 2 negative plays were in kneel downs. Do I expect them to be that dynamic offensively in hostile territory against the Chiefs? No, probably not. It's an unrealistic expectation. But do I think they can get to 4 touchdowns or more? You bet. And I'm going to go over the total here, despite the number moving against me. When I look at these two teams, the Bills have been a little bit of smoke and mirrors, in my opinion, defensively, especially against the pass, where they're the best in the league, allowing a shade under 166 yards per game. But this is a massive step up in class. You're going to battle on the road without Tre'Davious White, so it forces everybody else to raise its level of play. And this isn't Zach Wilson. This isn't Matt Ryan. This isn't the Jacksonville Jaguars. Kansas City looks like the team we expected them to be early in the year, unlike that 38-20 dismantling we saw on Sunday Night Football. I believe getting Jerick McKinnon touches, especially as a receiver out of the backfield, gives them an element that's going to frustrate the Bills defensively. And when you look at Brian Daboll, I think he knows he's got to be uber aggressive. I love the fact that they were only running the football last week in second and short. He wasn't hesitating to use Josh Allen's legs. And I really believe both of these teams can get to 4 touchdowns. I'll go over the total. I know it's tough with a number this high in the postseason, but the reality of it is both of these offenses are a cut above their defensive counterparts.
Give me as much as this game as I possibly can get. This is heaven for me. It's 2 gunslinging quarterbacks coming off 5 touchdown games, and the weather's supposed to be conducive. It's only supposed to be 45 degrees, and best of all, no wind. That's the best news of all this week. And I love this game. I agree with you 100%, Todd. My favorite play of the game is taking the over. I don't care how well these defenses have played at times. I know the Bills are number 1 in the league, and I know the Chiefs down the stretch have played much better, particularly on 3rd down. But this is going to be a game for the quarterbacks. They will light things up. There's going to be a lot of points. And so I love the over. My lean in terms of a side will be the Buffalo Bills. I picked the Bills before the season to go to the Super Bowl and win it. I'm sticking to it. I think right now they're the most complete team in the league. And remember, they built this team in the offseason. They drafted with an eye on beating the Kansas City Chiefs in the postseason. Knocked the quarterback down in a key moment. That's why they drafted this year, drafted Greg Rousseau and Boogie Basham. They will get after the quarterback. I'll take the Bills to win the game, so take the points, and I love the over.
Pete Prisco, Todd Fuhrman, putting knowledge in your mind so you can put some money in your pocket. They went 4-2 during the wild card round, looking to cash some tickets here in the divisional round. Here's a look back at their selections, both on the Titans to cover 3.5. Derrick Henry back in the mix. Opposite sides here between the 49ers and Packers. Pete likes the Packers to cover the 5.5 or the 6, depending on where you get it. Packers 8-0 straight up at home, 7-1 ATS this season at Lambeau. Todd's going to play the team total over 23.5 for the Rams. Pete says, give me the points. And heck, I'll even play them on the money line. Nice value, plus 125 on the road. Bills and Chiefs. We heard Pete. He loves the Bills. He likes the over as well. Todd likes the over. He hammered the over last week against the Patriots. And their top wager, there it is, the over between Buffalo and Kansas City. They're in lock agreement. And, of course, you can see that one on CBS as the divisional round begins and ends on CBS. Joe Burrow and the Bengals looking to knock out the top-seeded Titans on Saturday, 4:30 Eastern Time. Then Josh Allen and the Bills visiting Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs on Sunday night. Again, you can see 6:30 Eastern Time on America's most watched network.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.